So I wanted to do just a little primer video on Easter week. I have done a series on each of the single days of the Holy Week, the last week of Jesus' life, and that's available as a playlist on the YouTube channel, or you can go back and look for Palm Sunday on the podcast. But putting something out here today, this is Saturday, the day before Palm Sunday, just kind of as a reminder to take a look at each of these videos if you get a chance, and possibly if you could do it each day and get an idea of what's happening each day in Easter week. Now, the primer is this. If you look at Easter week through these two filters, these two interpreters, if you will, then you're going to see the events fit a narrative that is different than you may have seen before. Easter week is first a royal procession of a king coming in to be crowned at the temple. That's what's going on Palm Sunday. And everything that we get throughout the week, even beyond that, has to do with this idea of being crowned, ultimately, the King of Kings, the Davidic King, Jesus Christ. He does get crowned later on. And then we do have the term the King of the Jews that is put up above the cross. This whole week is about a coronation. It's about him being the king, and it's based on ancient ritual that was done in some civilizations every year. There would be a coronation, even if it was the same king, a drama, a ritual that would happen. And it happened with the Jews, the Israelites, usually during the Feast of Tabernacles. And so if we look at Jesus coming up from Jericho, where he's already got a large multitude of people following him, you have to ask why that is. They're going to ascend down from Jericho up through, Bethany first, and then they come over into Jerusalem from the east. He comes in from the east gate of the city on a donkey, just like Solomon did on his coronation. And coming in to go where? Not to the palace, to the temple. That's where the king would go in the temple drama. And for the coronation ritual, he's going there to go and be coronated. Now, he doesn't get coronated there because he's going to be coronated, so to speak, when he is resurrected, right? That's his real coronation is the resurrection. He does get coronated in a mock way by the Romans, right? He where he was going to the temple to be coronated, he's not ready to be the King of Kings yet because he must be resurrected. He must go through everything this week first. So he comes into the temple, and instead of being coronated, he cleans it out. This is also ritual in the temple. This is the Day of Atonement. This is what the high priest would do on the Day of Atonement. He's going to take the blood of the bullock, the blood of the goat, and he's going to sprinkle it around the altar, around the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy of Holies, the temple, and even the people. He's going to cleanse everything and the land. That is, in a sense, to some degree, what is happening with Jesus. And if you read that closely, that text, I don't remember what gospel, look at all the gospels that speak of the cleansing of the temple, because you're not going to find it in every gospel. But if you look closely, it's not the money changers he's really got the problem with. Not in my mind. The issue he has is with the Sadducees, who are the chief priests, the high priests that run the temple. They're the ones that would be in charge of the money changers and probably getting a cut off of everything that's going on there. And it's an imitation priesthood, so to speak, that is not doing the will of the Lord, that has lost its way. That's what he's cleansing with the true priesthood, which is based eventually in Gethsemane on his blood, on sacrifice, on charity, on love, right? So you get the Day of Atonement in here and the ritual of the temple. The second filter, and again, going through the entire week, think of him as the king. This is all about a procession and about being crowned at the end of the week. Secondly, you look at this as a temple experience. And if you really think about it, those are one and the same thing. The temple experience, the endowment, the anointing and washing, etc., and the and the royal procession are in many ways one and the same thing. So if you look at it as he's going through the temple, a temple experience of ascension, and the ordinances that he goes through, the events, some of the events that he goes through during that week, they're all about the temple experience. And of course, the temple experience is a royal priesthood experience for kings and queens. So in a sense, like I said, it's kind of similar, but it's a different filter to look at to understand the events of what is going on. Just one last point here that happens in the temple, it happened in the temple with ancient Israel, was when you have Pilate, as an example, who is going to have both Jesus and Barabbas put out to the people, which are really just the chief priests and those around them. It's not all the Jews. We mistake this and think that the Jews that are laying out the palms and the garment in front of him on the donkey as he is in his royal procession into Jerusalem, we think those are the same people that are just so fickle that a few days later they're crying for him to be crucified. That is not true. I don't believe. These are separate groups. The followers are laying down the palms and the garments. The Sadducees and probably some of the Pharisees and others, probably a much smaller group here, are the ones that are calling for Jesus to be crucified. But Pilate has two individuals, just like the Day of Atonement, where the high priest would have two different goats. One is going to be sacrificed, a pure goat that will be sacrificed, and the other will be laid on, will have the sins laid upon that goat and will be banished out of the city and let go. That's the scapegoat. Well, what happens there in that scene? Pilate thinks that Barabbas is the one that is going to be the sacrifice. It seems more likely because he finds no fault with Jesus. He's also afraid of his wife's dream. But the Sadducees and others around them, the chief priests and others around them, want Jesus to be sacrificed and to let Barabbas go. And so you have there again a Day of Atonement type of a Day of Atonement type of an event there, because the rituals that you have in ancient Israel are looking forward to this week. Much of them are looking forward to this week. And so, of course, as these things play out during the week, they are simply manifestation of reality, the reality of the rituals that looked forward to this week. And I think it's important to consider that the authors are writing this in a ritualistic manner. It's something that the early Christians would have been familiar with the temple, and certainly with a royal procession and a coronation. If you put this week into that context, you're going to understand it much better, and it will become more rich for you, I believe. Go ahead and look at that playlist. I will link that on on the YouTube description box, and if you get a chance, take a look at those each day of the week and make it not just an Easter Sunday next week, but an entire Easter week. Thank you.